Now it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Congressman Pat Tiberi. Serving in his 5th consecutive term, representing Ohio's 12th District, Pat has been a Buckeye his entire life. He attended Northland High School, state champions in Ohio, and he is the first in his family to graduate from college. Congressman Tiberi received a Bachelor of Arts degree in journalism in 1985 from The Ohio State University, where he proudly played the trumpet in our renowned marching band. Before coming to the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman Tiberi served in the Ohio House of Representatives, where he rose to the position of Majority Leader, the 3rd highest post in the House. Throughout his tenure, he played a prominent role as a legislative leader who got things done. Prior to his election to the Ohio House, Congressman Tiberi served for 8 years as an assistant to Congressman John Kasich. In Congress, Pat has diligently helped Ohio State in so many ways. During his tenure as chairman of the Select Education Committee, he was a strong advocate for international education, hosting a field hearing on campus to highlight Ohio State's breadth of international and cultural academic programs. More recently, as a member of the Powerful Ways and Means Committee, he helped the James Cancer Hospital fight through the bureaucratic red tape to ensure that the hospital can expand and continue to provide quality of care to our patients. I am certain that we will continue to rely on his support in the coming years, and we look forward to the Tiberi Buckeye tradition to continue. Pat and his wife, Denise, have 4 beautiful daughters, 6-year-old Angelina and triplets, Daniela, Christina, and Gabriella, who were born earlier this year. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Congressman Pat Tiberi.
Thank you. What an honor. What an honor and privilege to be with you today. To Buckeye Nation, to friends of Ohio State, to my colleagues here and former colleagues. I saw Deborah Price here and Rob Portman here as well. My former colleague in the Ohio House, Joyce Beatty, now part of Buckeye Nation as well. It really is very, very special to be with you today. To President of the Association, Mr. Griffin, to the President of the University, Dr. Gee, my hero. And let me tell you what I mean about that, Dr. Gee. It was 1992, November. Just got elected to the Ohio House of Representatives, along with a number of other people. And Dr. Gee and his staff invited us to the Ohio State-Michigan game as new members of the legislature, yet to be sworn in. And it was a heck of a game. It was a 13-13 tie. Dr. Gee said after the game, quote, "A tie is one of our greatest wins ever." Wow. Now let me tell you why he's my hero. Anybody else say that? They'd been run out of town on a rail. Dr. Gee, a poll's taken like a year later about him running for governor or U.S. Senate, and he's leading everybody. He leaves Ohio for what he thinks are greener pastures. But this guy who says, greatest win ever, it's like kissing your sister, Archie, you know, a tie, gets recruited back to Ohio State, cajoled, including by me, to come back and lead Buckeye Nation again. Only you could do that, Gordon. You are my hero. And I'm working on legislation today, actually, that will impact every flagship institution in every state in America. And we all know that Ohio State is the flagship institution of Ohio. Whether the state government recognizes that or not is immaterial. And that legislation you will really like. It's a family value. It's going to fit with your Mormon tradition. A family value piece of legislation that says if you send 2 kids to Ohio State, you get 2 kids free. What do you think, Gordon? Not that I have any personal... Well, some of you know me and others don't, and I am here today because of my experience at Ohio State. You know, I feel like a Baptist member of a church here, and I'm going to give a testimonial about how Ohio State changed my life. And I won't get into any specifics or any talks about Papa Joe's or High Street, but it has had a huge impact on my life. I was born and raised in Columbus, as Archie said, among the shadows of the stadium. That sounds pretty dramatic. About 7 miles away, actually, from Ohio State. And growing up as a kid, we would listen to Saturday afternoon football games on the radio because you wouldn't get them on TV back then. And we used to play football before the game and during the game and halftime and after the game. We took turns being number 45. We took turns being Archie Griffin. Now, I realized when I was 10 years old, Archie, that if I was ever going to be on that field on a Saturday afternoon, it was going to be carrying a trumpet and not a football. Because it wasn't even all that good when I was 10 years old trying to run the football. But I will have to say, it has been an honor to get to know you. And what a better ambassador in the world could we find other than Archie Griffin to lead Ohio State's alumni. We are so proud of you, Archie. So proud of you. And Archie just continues to give back to Columbus and Central Ohio in so many ways. It is just it's just amazing to see. I will remind you, Archie, that back in 1981, as a senior at Northland High School, we beat Eastmore in the City League football championship game. They could have used you back then. But anyhow, it's just amazing that I'm up here talking to you guys. As the oldest of the son of immigrants, or the child of immigrants who settled in Columbus, Ohio, the first goal was getting through high school. First person in my family to graduate from high school. And while, we look around the country, and for some families, going to college is just a given, and it's about law school or a master of business. For me, growing up in Columbus and focusing on graduating for high school and then saving as I was working through high school to go to college, and my mom and dad stressed the importance of going to college, really Ohio State was the focus. Because as even a kid, and Archie knows this, and those of you who grew up in Columbus understand this, it was just part of what your goal in life was, at least mine was to get accepted to Ohio State. And I looked around at other colleges and was accepted at other colleges, but when I got that piece of paper from Ohio State, it was like I had died and gone to heaven. Because here it is. I am going to Ohio State University. And at the time, and I remember saying this back in the 90s when I was in the legislature, as a kid who wanted to play professional sports and college sports and knew that wasn't going to happen, I wanted to cover journalism so I could cover college and professional athletics. Ohio State didn't have the best reputation at the time. And in fact, one of my friends from church who was running a TV station, who was also a musician, said, "No, you can't go to Ohio State. You got to go to Ohio University. You got to go to Bowling Green or Kent. You can't go to Ohio State." But I wanted to be in the marching band. I really wanted to be in the marching band. Didn't know if I could make it or not. Very competitive. 225 spots. A lot more people trying out. 192 march on every given Saturday. And so I used to say in the legislature, Dr. Gee, I went to Ohio State not because of the academics, because I wanted to be in the marching band. You didn't think that was too funny back then. But it was the truth. Now, I got a good education at Ohio State. There's no question about that. But wow, what an experience I had in the OSU